If inflation has got your power bill looking like a mortgage, you might be an American. If everyone in the country voted for one guy and the other guy won, you might be an American. If you had to take a loan just to get a phone,
3 more payments and this some gun is mine.
You might be an American.
I think we offended somebody out here.
Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. I've had quite a few shenanigans from the market makers today, as you've probably seen, with Bitcoin literally just getting steamrolled in a matter of about an hour. So I'm just going to jump in and take a look at some of the charts here. For additional information and exclusive perks, do consider joining me and the rest of our community on Patreon. Taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see that as soon as we moved into this zone that I've been watching and talking about for quite some time between these two orange vertical lines here, the very first candle that formed proved to be a market maker shenanigan, which means that pretty much anybody who was chasing price during Powell's little propaganda speech on Friday, which represents this green candle here, just got liquidated from their positions or very close to it, depending on where they entered on this candle. But typically, when you see liquidation events like this occurring as a result of market makers accumulating shares or institutions or hedge funds simply just manipulating the price down so that they can accumulate a larger position at a discount price, it's very important to understand a lot of times before they do this, you will get these little moves upwards, which is not quite as obvious on the Bitcoin chart as it is on the XRP chart. But the price has pretty much come down right to the area that I've expected and that I talked about in my Master Tier Patreon weekly video, where I talked about the price coming down into this yellow box, perhaps even touching just the top range of this bullish fair value gap, which has pretty much come to fruition after breaking out of this channel and now retesting in that top range. So it's probably pretty likely by about bedtime tonight, price will be trading right back at these averages here. But if we do get rejected off of the 18-day and the 50-day right here, it could spell more downside. But I have been expecting to see prices push back up here to get rejected off of this bearish fair value gap before seeing deeper moves to the downside. Now, whether or not that's going to happen, I have no idea. But I've basically been kind of expecting price to do something like this, trade up here, getting a second rejection, then trading to the downside. As I've thought for a while now that it's very possible that we could end up seeing this bearish fair value gap right here acting as a breaker block. Since we've already been rejected off it right in this area once before, a second rejection here could mean coming down to at least this bullish order block, perhaps even lower. Looking at some of the other charts here from the ISO coins, you can see ADA is still sitting in the green. It made a really big move up here and didn't really react much to the liquidation that we saw in Bitcoin, which is very interesting to see. It is looking very bullish right here with this formation. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with ADA. Taking a look at H-bar really quick. Very similar to the ADA chart. Really didn't have much of a reaction to the downside, but it sure enjoyed this nice move right here to the upside, even though it was short-lived. And the chart is very similar to ADA, looking very bullish. Looking at XLM, it also looks very similar. With this move to the upside, a slight move to the downside, resting above the 18-day and the 50-day moving average. Taking a look at the ALDO chart, this had an extremely exaggerated move to the upside, pushing up to about 28 cents right in that range. Really had some momentum on this. And that move to the downside was basically like it never even happened. It did push down, but look how well it's reacting to it. It's just popping right back. We might be on the cusp of seeing something really big from ALDO here. I would keep an eye on this high right here. If we can get above this 29 range, potentially start to push up towards this high here, could be a good sign if we cross right here. So I would keep an eye on this high, because if we get through this, we might attempt to challenge this, and we could make quite a move. It'll be very interesting to watch this week, as there's a pretty good chance that we're going to see some bullish momentum here. Taking a look at quant, it wasn't quite as exaggerated on this particular move coming down to this range, but we did get quite an upside move here on this candle. The downside momentum was pretty well capped off, so kind of looking at a lot of the ISO coins, you can see that it seems like they were picking on Bitcoin, perhaps trying to extract some value and close out some positions to perhaps put into some of these altcoins. But at the same time, that liquidation event very well could have been accumulation of Bitcoin at discount prices, so it's hard to tell at this point. But we've already seen Bitcoin go on a heck of a run. We've seen Ethereum go on a heck of a run, and it's still running. But we're kind of getting to that point now where money's going to start coming out of the larger caps like Bitcoin and Ethereum and going into XRP and some of the undervalued assets that really have just kind of been sitting there stagnant for a while. But just kind of taking a look at this list, you can see ALDO did really well. ZBCN is up about 5.66% on the day. I think this is going to be a really good one to own. I think it has a very, very bright future. But overall, it looks like Bitcoin took it the worst, and probably a lot of people got liquidated during this move. And flipping over and just taking a quick look at the XRP cup and handle chart, it still seems to be right on pace for what could be a spectacular move, being the primary beneficiary of money coming out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. As I've talked about in previous videos, I believe that instead of having a 3-tier season like we've always seen, that we are now going to start seeing a 4-tier season where money flows from Bitcoin into Ethereum, then from Ethereum into XRP, then from XRP into the other altcoins. So it looks like XRP could be setting up for an incredible move to the upside here. And if we dial in here on this handle, we've touched the bottom trend line of the handle twice and the upper rim line once before. This looks very similar to the cup and handle pattern that we saw with Bitcoin just a few months ago. But if we can break out above this, attacking this weak doji waterfall and filling it, getting above this rim line, we could see an incredible move to the upside here. And in regard to some of these trend lines, but we could very well attack this upper trend line right here in this area, which would be absolutely spectacular, which would basically take the price of XRP anywhere from about $4.75, perhaps into that $5.30 range, but somewhere kind of right in this area. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this cup and handle pattern, but I think it could be mixed with a move to the downside with Bitcoin while simultaneously seeing a move to the upside with XRP. I'm not dead set on that, but it's something that I've been thinking about. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Good luck out there, and I'll talk to you again soon.